The night on the colony was quiet, but inside the small wooden house at the edge of the settlement, silence felt heavy, almost painful. A single lamp burned weakly on the table, casting long shadows across the room. John, a widowed human father, sat with his head resting on his hands, his eyes tired and full of sadness. His two young daughters slept in the next room, curled together under thin blankets, unaware of the weight he carried. Life had not been easy since his wife passed away. The sickness had come suddenly, and despite every effort, she was gone within days. Now John was left to raise his daughters alone. He worked during the day repairing machines for the colony, and tried at night to cook, clean, and care for the girls. But every day felt like a mountain he could not climb. The girls smiled less, and sometimes he caught them staring at other families, silently wishing for a mother's gentle hand. One evening after finishing work, John walked through the outskirts of the colony. The settlement was surrounded by broken structures and half-buried ruins left from the old wars. People said strange things lived out there, but most were too afraid to check. John only wanted a quiet place to think, away from curious eyes and whispered pity. That was when he saw her. She stood near the edge of the ruins, half hidden in the shadows at first. John thought she was just another scavenger. But when she turned her head, the faint light revealed alien features, slender face, dark silver eyes, and skin faintly marked with patterns that glowed softly in the dark. Her clothes were torn, patched together from scraps, and she held herself like someone used to hiding. For a moment, John froze. Aliens were not unusual in the wider galaxy, but here, on this small colony, most settlers distrusted them, and this woman looked different, outcast, unwanted. Her eyes widened when she realized he was watching her, and she quickly pulled a hood over her head. She turned as if to leave. But something in her movement was not hostile, only afraid. John felt a strange pull inside him. This was not the first time he had heard rumors of an alien shadow wandering near the colony. Children whispered about a ghost woman who lived in the ruins, never speaking, never showing her face. Most adults ignored the stories, but now John knew they were true. "Wait," John said softly, raising a hand. His voice carried no anger, only calm. The woman stopped, her body stiff, her silver eyes glowing faintly beneath the hood. For a few seconds, neither spoke. The air was filled with quiet tension, as if the night itself held its breath. Finally, John stepped forward slowly, careful not to alarm her. "I'm not here to hurt you," he said. "Do you live out here?" She didn't answer, only lowered her head, her shoulders tight with shame. Her silence told him enough. She was alone, unwanted, surviving on scraps. Something in his heart twisted, for he knew loneliness better than most. A soft sound came from behind him. John turned quickly to see his daughters standing in the distance. Barefoot and curious, they had followed him, their eyes wide as they spotted the alien woman. Instead of fear, the youngest girl whispered, "She's beautiful." Her sister nodded, her innocent gaze free from judgment. The alien woman flinched as if struck. It had been years since anyone had spoken such a word to her. She looked at the children, then quickly away, hiding her face. John felt the weight of the moment. The girls had seen something in her that most adults would not. Not a monster, not an outcast, but a person, a lost soul, just like them, searching for warmth. The woman turned to leave, but John's voice stopped her again, firm yet gentle. "You don't have to run. Not from us," he said. "You look like you need shelter." She froze, her breath catching in her throat. For so long she had been offered nothing but rejection, and now this human, this widowed father with two fragile daughters, was offering something else: kindness. The silence stretched long, broken only by the soft wind through the ruins. Finally, the woman looked up, her silver eyes meeting John's for the first time. There was fear, yes, but also a flicker of hope she could not hide. The daughters stepped closer, smiling shyly. The younger one reached out a small hand, as if welcoming her. The alien's lips trembled, and she took a single step forward, then stopped, torn between shame and longing. John said nothing more, only waited. He knew trust could not be forced, only earned. But in that fragile moment, under the broken stars and silent ruins, something new had begun. A broken family had met a broken soul, and though none of them realized it yet, their lives were about to change forever. The night after their first meeting, John could not sleep. The image of the alien woman haunted his mind. Her eyes had carried both fear and sadness, but also a small spark of hope. He had seen that same look before in his daughters when they missed their mother. The next day, John took extra bread from the colony kitchen, hiding it carefully in his bag. He told his daughters to stay close as they walked toward the ruins. They did not question him, for children often trusted their father's silence. When they reached the broken buildings, she was there again, sitting alone on a stone, hood drawn low, her thin hands clutching something small, a piece of metal, shaped like an old necklace. Her head lifted slightly when she heard footsteps, and her eyes flashed silver in the fading light. John spoke gently. "I brought food." He placed the bread on a flat stone and stepped back, giving her space. For a moment she did not move, as if unsure if this was a trick. But hunger was stronger than pride, and slowly, with trembling fingers, she reached for it. The girls watched her carefully, their faces full of curiosity rather than fear. The youngest whispered, "She looks lonely," and her sister quietly nodded. The alien woman froze at those words, her body stiff. She was not used to pity, and she hated it. Shame burned inside her chest like fire. Finally she spoke, her voice soft but rough. "You should not be here." The words were broken, her accent heavy, yet her meaning clear. "I am cast out, unclean. If they see you with me, you will be shamed too." John studied her, surprised by the pain in her tone. Most humans would have turned away at such a warning, but he only felt more determined. "My daughters don't need to see you as unclean," he said firmly. "They see you as a person." Her silver eyes widened at his words. A person, not a curse, not an outcast. Her chest tightened, and she looked down at the bread in her hands. She wanted to throw it away, to push him back, but her fingers would not let go. John's older daughter took a step forward, her voice innocent. "Do you have a family?" she asked. The question struck like a blade. The alien woman shook her head, lowering her hood, revealing scars along her temples. "No. They sent me away long ago," she whispered. "They said I was weak, unworthy, a shame to my people." The girls gasped softly, but not in disgust, in sadness. The younger one took her father's hand and whispered, "She needs us." John's throat tightened. He saw his daughters clinging to her presence, as if they had already decided something his heart was still wrestling with. He crouched down, meeting the alien woman's eyes. "You don't have to be alone forever," he said quietly. "My daughters, they need a mother, and you need a home." The words hung heavy in the night. The alien woman's breath caught, her eyes wide with shock. "Mother," she whispered, as if the word itself was forbidden. Her hands trembled, the bread falling from her grip. "No, you cannot mean this," but John's voice did not waver. "I mean it, not out of pity, not out of weakness, but because I see how they look at you and how you look at them." Her heart raced, her mind screaming. She could not understand this human. Why would he offer such a thing to a woman who had nothing, who carried only shame? She wanted to run, to vanish into the ruins, yet her feet would not move. Behind her fear, behind her doubt, a spark of longing grew. For years she had been denied this, belonging, family, love, and now, this widowed human, broken but strong, was offering it freely. "I will not be accepted," she whispered harshly. "Your people will hate me, your elders will scorn you, and your daughters will suffer because of me." John's gaze hardened, his voice steady. "Then let them scorn me. I have already lost everything once. I will not lose the chance to give my daughters hope again. And I will not let you die in shadows when you deserve light." The woman's eyes blurred with tears she had not shed in years. Her chest ached as if her heart was breaking and mending all at once. For a long moment she stood frozen, torn between shame and hope. Her voice cracked when she finally spoke. Why would a human offer this to me?" John looked at his daughters, then back at her. "Because you are not just an outcast," he said softly. "You are someone who can still be loved." The alien woman staggered back, clutching the necklace in her hand, her body trembling. The word loved echoed inside her like thunder, shaking the walls of her carefully built despair. She did not answer, not yet, but when she lifted her eyes again, there was something different in them, a fragile, dangerous spark of hope that no shame could fully bury. And in that moment, though she did not say yes, the story of a broken family and an outcast soul had begun to weave into something greater, something neither of them could escape. The days after John's offer were filled with silence. The alien woman did not give him an answer, but she also did not disappear. She stayed near the ruins, close enough for the girls to find her, but far enough to keep her distance. It was as if she stood on the edge of two worlds, one of loneliness she knew too well, and one of family she feared to trust. The daughters often carried food to her, laughing and trying to teach her human words. Sometimes she responded in broken phrases, her voice soft, uncertain. Other times she only watched them quietly, her silver eyes clouded with doubt. Every smile from the children warmed her heart, yet every moment reminded her of what she believed she did not deserve. One evening, the older daughter tugged her hand. "Will you come home with us?" she asked innocently. The alien froze, her throat tight. Home. The word stabbed deep. She shook her head quickly, whispering, "I cannot." The little girl frowned but did not argue, instead pressing a small flower into her hand before running back to her father. When John looked at her from a distance, his eyes carried patience, not pressure. He never forced her to answer, never demanded, he only waited, as if he knew that the decision had to come from her own heart. But the colony was not blind. Whispers spread quickly. Humans spotted John's daughters near the ruins, carrying food to the shadow alien. Old men muttered in disgust, women shook their heads, and children repeated cruel words they had overheard. One night, John was stopped by a group of settlers at the trading post. "Are you mad?" One spat. "Letting your girls near that outcast? She is cursed, unworthy even among her own kind. If you bring her into your house, you will shame us all." John's jaw tightened. His fist clenching, he wanted to shout, to defend her openly. But he knew the colony's heart was hard. For now, he only said, "My family is my choice," before walking away. But their eyes followed him, full of warning. When he returned home, he found the alien woman standing at the edge of the door. She had heard the whispers, her face pale with shame. "You see?" she whispered bitterly. "Your people hate me. They will never let me belong if you keep me near. Your daughters will suffer too." John looked at her steadily, his voice firm. "My daughters already smile because of you. That is more than this colony has given them since their mother died." She shook her head, trembling. "I am not strong enough to be what they need. I am broken, John. I cannot give them what a true mother gives." At that moment, his youngest daughter ran forward, hugging the alien's leg tightly. "You are enough," the little girl said simply, her innocent words piercing deeper than any argument. The alien's chest tightened, tears threatening to fall. She knelt, placing a trembling hand on the child's hair, whispering, Why do you not fear me?" The child looked up with wide eyes. "Because you make us happy." Her hands shook as she pulled away. Turning from them, fear battled with longing inside her. Fear of betrayal, fear of rejection, fear of losing what little she had found. But every step she took away felt like tearing her own heart apart. That night she stood alone in the ruins, staring at the stars. Memories of her people filled her mind. The voices that had called her weak. The faces that turned away. She had been told so many times she was unworthy. That now she almost believed it, yet John's words and the girl's innocent smiles refused to leave her. She pressed the small flower against her chest, the gift from the child, and whispered, Why do I want this so much?" The struggle inside her grew stronger each day. Every time she saw John's steady gaze, every time the daughters called her mother by accident, her defenses cracked a little more, but shame was a chain she could not easily break. She wanted to believe she could belong. But a voice inside her screamed, "You are nothing, you are an outcast. You will only bring them pain." John, watching her silent battle, felt both helpless and determined. He knew trust took time, but he also knew the colony's hatred would not wait. And in the distance, he saw something darker, figures moving beyond the hills, shadows that did not belong to settlers. Danger was coming, and soon she would be forced to decide where she truly stood. For now, the struggle of acceptance was tearing her apart. But the storm ahead would either break her completely, or finally prove that she was worthy of the family she longed for. The night was colder than usual. The wind carried strange sounds, sharp and uneven. John stood outside his small house, scanning the dark horizon. His daughters were asleep inside, but his heart was heavy. Something was wrong. He could feel it in the silence of the colony. Then he saw them, shadows moving at the edge of the ruins. Not settlers, not wanderers, but raiders, armed scavengers who hunted weak colonies for food. Supplies and worse, they moved with confidence, as if they already knew the settlement was small and easy prey. The alien woman stood in the shadows of the ruined wall, watching too, Her chest tightened when she saw the dark figures. These were not strangers to her. She recognized their markings. Her own people, the ones who had once called her unworthy. They were here, and if they found her with the humans, it would mean death for all. Her first thought was to run. She had lived her life surviving alone, always fleeing danger, but when she turned, she caught sight of John's daughters sleeping by the fire through the small window of the house. Their little faces calm, innocent, and for the first time in years, her feet refused to run. John stepped toward her, whispering sharply, "You know them?" She nodded slowly, her silver eyes full of dread. "They cast me out. They will not forgive me for surviving if they see me here. They will kill you, your daughters, everyone." John's jaw tightened, his voice steady despite the fear. "Then we fight," he said simply. The alien woman's breath caught. "You would fight them? For me?" John's eyes burned with resolve. "For my daughters, yes, but also for you. Because you are part of this family now, whether you believe it or not." The words struck her harder than any weapon. Part of this family. She had never belonged anywhere. Yet this human spoke as if it was already true. The raiders advanced, their weapons glinting in the moonlight. The colony guards were few, and already panicking. John grabbed an old rifle, checking the chamber. The alien woman stepped closer, her voice trembling. "You cannot face them alone, but I still remember their ways, their weaknesses. If I fight, they will call me traitor. If I run, I will lose the only family I have found. Tell me, John, what should I do?" John met her eyes, steady and unshaken. "You already know the answer," he said softly. Her heart pounded as she stepped forward, pulling back her hood. For years she had hidden her face in shame. Now she showed it openly, silver eyes glowing fiercely, scars shining like marks of defiance. The raiders spotted her, and their leader snarled in rage. "The Outcast! Kill her and the humans who shelter her!" The battle began, gunfire cracked, shouts filled the air, and the colony erupted in chaos. John fired steadily, keeping the raiders back. The alien woman moved with speed and precision, her body remembering the training her people had once forced on her. But now she fought not for survival, not for pride. She fought for the children sleeping inside. Every strike, every desperate move was fueled by a fire she had never known before. The raiders mocked her, calling her weak, cursed. But each time they tried to corner John, she threw herself between them. She took blows meant for him, her body trembling with pain. Yet she refused to fall. At one moment, a raider broke past John's guard, rushing toward the house. The alien woman screamed, leaping forward, tackling him to the ground. Her silver eyes blazed as she fought, protecting the daughters as if they were her own. Her hands shook with rage and love, a strange mix that gave her strength beyond her limits. John saw her, saw the sacrifice she was making, and in that moment he understood. She was not just an outcast, not just a woman in need. She was a mother already, not by blood, but by choice, by courage. The battle raged long into the night. At last the raiders, wounded and broken, fled into the darkness, shouting curses. The colony lay in ruins, fires burning, walls shattered. But the family had survived. The alien woman stood trembling, her body covered in cuts, her breath ragged. Her silver eyes searched for John, and when she found him still standing, still alive, relief washed over her. The daughters ran from the house, crying and clinging to her legs. "Mother, you saved us!" They cried without thinking. The words struck deep. Breaking the last chains of her shame, tears streamed down her face as she pulled them close. Her hands shaking for the first time, she did not correct them. For the first time, she allowed herself to believe. John stepped forward, his rifle lowered, his eyes meeting hers. "You chose us," he said quietly, his voice steady and proud. "Now you know you belong." Her lips trembled as she whispered, "Yes, I belong." And in that moment, though the night was scarred with smoke and blood, something unshakable had been forged, a bond stronger than fear, stronger than shame, stronger than the hate of an entire galaxy. She was no longer an outcast. She was their protector, their mother, their family. The night of battle left the colony shaken. Fires still smoldered. Broken walls stood like jagged teeth against the dawn. But within John's small house, a different kind of silence rested. Not fear, not despair, something heavier yet brighter. The alien woman sat near the fire, her arms wrapped around John's daughters. They clung to her even as they slept, refusing to let go. Her body ached from wounds, But her heart beat with something new, something she had never allowed herself to feel before. Belonging John entered quietly, carrying water for her. His face was lined with exhaustion, his clothes torn, but his eyes were steady. He set the bowl beside her and spoke softly. You saved them, if not for you. They would be gone. Her throat tightened, silver eyes lowering to the sleeping children. No, she whispered, they saved me, their love. Gave me strength I did not know I had for a moment. Silence stretched, broken only by the crackle of fire. Then John knelt, meeting her gaze directly. I offered you shelter, I offered you a place, but last night, you proved something greater. You are already their mother, not by blood but by choice, and if you will allow it, I want you beside me, not just for them, but for us. The words shook her more than the battle. Her people had thrown her away, branded her weak, unworthy, but this human, broken by loss yet strong in spirit, was offering her something sacred, a life, a family, a chance to stand in the light again. She wanted to speak, but fear still lingered. What if your people never accept me? She asked, her voice trembling. John's eyes hardened, his answer firm. Then let them look, let them whisper. I do not live for their approval. I live for my daughters, and now, I live for you too. Tears burned her eyes, falling freely. For so long she'd been empty, and now her heart overflowed. She bowed her head, whispering through trembling lips. Yes. I will stay, yes. I will be yours. At that moment the girls stirred awake, rubbing their sleepy eyes. When they saw her still beside them, they smiled and cried out, Mother, you didn't leave. The alien woman broke down completely, hugging them tight. This time, she did not deny the word. This time, she embraced it. Outside, the colony gathered, still whispering, still watching. Some frowned, some shook their heads, but others, especially the children who had seen her fight, looked with awe. They had seen her defend the settlement, standing against her own kind. Slowly, suspicion began to bend into respect. Whispers of Outcast shifted to murmurs of protector. The colony elder approached John later, his voice grudging but heavy with truth. She fought for us when many would have run. She bled for your daughters, for all of us, perhaps. We were wrong. It was not full acceptance, not yet. But it was the beginning of something new that evening. As the sun dipped low and painted the sky with gold, John stood outside with his daughters and the alien woman. The air was calm, almost peaceful after the storm. The children laughed, chasing each other through the grass, their voices light and free. The alien woman stood beside John, her hand trembling as it brushed against his. For the first time, she did not pull away. For the first time, she let herself feel the warmth of his presence without fear. John spoke quietly, his voice filled with quiet strength. We are not broken anymore, we are whole. Because we chose each other. Her silver eyes shimmered, reflecting both the sky and the fire of her heart. I thought I was cursed, but now I see. I was only waiting for them, waiting for you. The daughters ran back, grabbing both their hands, pulling them close. Come on, we're a family now. They shouted joyfully, and as they stood together hand in hand, the future no longer looked empty. Yes, scars remained, yes, the colony still whispered. Yes, dangers would come again from beyond the stars. But none of that mattered, because in this small house, at the edge of a struggling world, a new story had begun. A widowed human father had found strength, 2 daughters had found love, and an outcast alien woman had found the one thing she thought forever lost. A home. From that day on, she was no longer the shadow in the ruins. She was mother, protector, and hope. And the galaxy itself would remember that even in its darkest corners, human kindness could turn exile into family and loneliness into love.